90% of people are destroying their own liver every single morning, and they're doing it with something they've been told is healthy. Meanwhile, your liver right now could be sending out emergency signals and you'd have absolutely no idea because it never hurts until it's almost too late. You think cirrhosis? That's the complete scarring and shutdown of the liver only happens to alcoholics? In 15 years of practice, I have sat across from patients with catastrophic liver damage who hadn't touched alcohol in their lives. They drank fresh squeezed juice every morning and called it a cleanse. The system won't tell you what you're about to hear. There's no profit in a patient who actually gets well. Subscribe to Dr. Waterling and hit like if you want straight answers, not pharmaceutical talking points. Help this channel reach 100,000 subscribers because that's how we make this information impossible to ignore. Let's talk about what your mornings actually look like. The alarm goes off, 7 in the morning. You got your 8 hours, you know you were in bed by 11, but you open your eyes and you feel like you spent the night shoveling concrete. Getting out of bed feels like a physical fight. You drag yourself to the bathroom and there's this taste in your mouth, metallic, bitter, wrong. You brush your teeth, look in the mirror, and the person looking back at you has dull, grayish skin and bags under their eyes that weren't there a couple years ago. So you go to the kitchen and pour coffee number 1. Your brain kicks in. By 3 in the afternoon, you crash. That familiar, sticky, suffocating fatigue. Your head is still trying to work, your body flatly refuses. And what do we tell ourselves in that moment? We blame bad weather, atmospheric pressure, magnetic storms. We say we're just getting older. And that twinge under your right ribs after a heavy dinner, you pop a digestive enzyme tablet and forget it happened by morning. We've normalized these signals to the point where we've stopped hearing them at all. Here's what I want you to understand today. You are not tired. You are intoxicated. Your liver didn't finish the job overnight. Toxic metabolic waste is circulating freely in your blood right now and poisoning your brain cells. That fog in your head, that craving for coffee just to function, that's not a caffeine deficiency. That's chemical overload. The bitter taste in your mouth, that's bile, a thick digestive fluid your liver produces, backing up into your stomach and esophagus. That's a mechanical failure in your digestive system triggered by a chronically overloaded liver. And that evening skin itch, the one you blame on a new laundry detergent or dry winter air, those are toxic bile acids your liver couldn't process properly. They leaked into your bloodstream, traveled to your skin, and are chemically burning your nerve endings from the inside. Let me give you the most important anatomical fact you'll ever hear about this organ. Your liver has no pain receptors inside its own tissue. None. A surgeon can cut into it with a scalpel, cauterize its blood vessels, and the liver itself feels nothing. Evolution made your liver completely silent. Your heart warns you with crushing chest pain when something's wrong. Your stomach screams with cramps. A bad tooth will keep you up all night. Your liver will work itself to death in total silence. I hear the same sentence from patients constantly. Doctor, my liver doesn't hurt, so it must be fine. That logic will kill you. That silence is the trap. So what actually causes that sensation under your right ribs? That heaviness, that dull ache? It isn't the liver itself. First, it's the gallbladder, the small sac that stores bile. When your diet is poor, bile becomes thick and viscous like motor oil. Stress causes the bile ducts to spasm. You feel sharp, shooting pain or a dragging ache. That's the gallbladder screaming, not the liver. Second, the liver has a protective outer membrane called Glisson's capsule. Think of it as a tight sleeve wrapped around the organ. That capsule is full of nerve endings. It only hurts when the liver swells enough to push against it from the inside. Imagine inflating a balloon inside a rigid plastic box. The balloon presses on the walls. That's what happens when the liver becomes inflamed, swollen, or loaded with fat in a condition called hepatic steatosis, fatty liver disease. You feel that as a heavy, constant pressure, like someone placed a cold brick under your right ribs. By the time you actually feel that brick, the damage has been progressing for years. And I mean years, decades sometimes. In my practice, I've had patients with end-stage cirrhosis who felt nothing, zero, until the day their skin turned bright yellow and their abdomen began filling with liters of fluid. We call that ascites. By then, the window for reversible intervention was closed. Because here's what people do. They say it'll pass on its own. Or they say, I'm not an alcoholic. 1 glass of wine at Thanksgiving. I'm safe. That's one of the most dangerous myths in medicine today. The real enemies of your liver in the modern world are not liquor store shelves. They are hidden fructose, refined carbohydrates, handfuls of over-the-counter medications taken at the first sign of a headache or a low-grade fever, and chronic daily stress. I'm seeing signs of fatty liver disease in children as young as 10 or 12 years old. That is a quiet medical catastrophe that is not getting nearly enough attention. Let me show you the 4 functional stages of liver decline, because most of you watching right now are sitting somewhere between stage 1 and stage 2 and you don't know it. Stage 1, the lazy liver. In gastroenterology, this is called cholestasis or biliary dyskinesia, bile stagnation. Think of a wide, fast highway where traffic moves smoothly. That's a healthy liver. Now picture a miles-long traffic jam where nothing moves. The liver tissue itself is still intact at this stage, but the bile has changed its physical properties. Instead of flowing freely like water, it thickens into a sluggish syrup. Physically, you experience this as nausea after fatty foods, stubborn chronic constipation, because bile is your body's most powerful natural laxative, or the opposite, oily stools that don't flush cleanly, meaning fats aren't being absorbed at all. The lazy liver is the foundation on which every serious diagnosis that follows gets built. And an ultrasound at this stage will likely come back completely normal. Stage 2, the fatty liver or hepatic steatosis. Keep ignoring stage 1, keep loading up on refined carbs and fructose. Now the liver changes its strategy. Instead of storing energy as glycogen, a useful fuel reserve, it starts packing excess calories as dense fat droplets directly inside its own working cells. Picture a kitchen sponge, dry, light, porous, flexible. Now submerge that sponge in a jar of thick vegetable oil. It becomes heavy, greasy, and every pore is sealed shut. That's what happens to your liver. Here's the critical physiological fact you need to hear. Do you know how foie gras, the French delicacy, is made? Farmers force feed geese not with fat, not with butter, but with massive quantities of grain, pure carbohydrates. Fatty liver disease in humans follows exactly the same biochemistry. It comes from sweet rolls, instant oatmeal, and liters of sugary drinks, not from a steak. At this stage, the organ enlarges, cells bloat with accumulated lipids, and the liver is still trying to filter your blood, but it's doing it through a thick layer of internal grease. This is a slow motion time bomb, and the cruelest part, you still won't feel a thing. Stage 3, the inflamed liver, steatohepatitis. This is not a viral hepatitis. This is a purely metabolic catastrophe. When enough fat accumulates inside liver cells, it begins to oxidize. It literally goes rancid inside your body. That toxic process triggers a massive inflammatory immune response. Your immune system scans the tissue, sees these defective, oxidized, fat-loaded cells, classifies them as foreign threats, and launches an attack. Your own immune system starts destroying your own liver. It is warfare inside your right side. Working liver cells die by the thousands, and only at this stage will you finally see changes in your blood work, specifically a spike in liver enzymes called ALT and AST. These enzymes live inside liver cells. When a cell ruptures, they spill into the bloodstream. That spike is no longer a whisper, it's a siren. Stage 4, the scarred liver, fibrosis progressing to cirrhosis. Every time a liver cell dies, the body fills that space with scar tissue, rigid, inelastic connective tissue with no function. Think of the scar on your skin after a deep cut. Hard, inflexible, no hair grows on it, can't sweat. The same thing happens internally, organ-wide. The scarring distorts the liver's architecture. Blood flow through the organ becomes mechanically obstructed, and blood is forced to find alternate routes. Upward through veins in the esophagus, creating life-threatening variceal bleeding, and downward into the hemorrhoidal veins. Once this stage is reached, full reversal is essentially off the table. This is the point of no return. Now let me give you a practical way to read your own body right now, because your skin is the most accurate external mirror of your liver's internal state. Red flag 1, small ruby red dots on your abdomen, chest, or shoulders. They look like a pinprick from a red pen, flat or slightly raised. Dermatologists call them angiomas or spider angiomas. Here's where they come from. Your liver is responsible for breaking down and clearing used hormones, primarily estrogen. When the liver is overloaded or fatty, it cannot keep up with estrogen clearance. Estrogen levels rise. Small blood vessels pathologically dilate, and you get these characteristic microvascular lesions. If you're noticing more of them over time, your liver's hormonal detox capacity is failing. Red flag 2, liver palms. Look at the fleshy mounds at the base of your thumb and under your little finger. If these areas look unnaturally red or blotchy while the center of your palm stays pale, that is palmar erythema, a classic sign of impaired liver filtration. Patients with this symptom often say their hands feel like they're burning by evening. Red flag 3, look at your heels. Chronically dry, deeply cracked heels that no cream touches. This is a deficiency in fat-soluble vitamins, specifically vitamin A and vitamin E. And why the deficiency? No bile flow. Bile is required to break down and absorb dietary fats in the intestine. No bile flow means fat-soluble vitamins pass straight through your gut and get flushed out. You can spend hundreds of dollars on premium supplements. If your bile isn't flowing, those vitamins will do nothing for you. The cracked heels are a textbook sign of stage 1 bile stagnation. Red flag 4, spider veins on your face. Across the nose, cheeks, or décolletage. Press one with your finger. It disappears. Release the pressure, it refills immediately. Another calling card of elevated, uncleared estrogen and poor blood filtration. Red flag 5, intense skin itching at night, particularly the back, forearms, and shins, with no visible rash, no insect bites, no explanation. This is toxic bile acids circulating in your blood. The liver failed to dump them fully into the intestines, they were reabsorbed into the bloodstream, and they're chemically irritating the nerve endings in your skin. This is not a dermatology problem. This is not an allergy. This is a sign that your blood has become toxic to your own tissue. If you're sitting there right now recognizing 2 or more of these 5 flags, don't go buy a cortisone cream. That only masks the symptom while the fire keeps burning inside. I want to walk you through a real patient story because textbook descriptions don't hit the same way as a human being sitting across from you in a clinic chair. I had a 45-year-old patient. We'll call him Victor. Successful businessman, trim, active, skin like a magazine ad, not a single red dot anywhere. His heels were perfect, his palms were a healthy color. He came in for a routine check, genuinely convinced he was in peak physical condition. We ran a full biochemical panel and an elastography, a specialized ultrasound that measures how stiff or scarred the liver tissue actually is. When the results came back, I stared at them for a long moment. Victor's liver was functioning at roughly 30% of its baseline capacity. Active fibrosis was already developing in the tissue. I sat Victor down and we went through his daily routine hour by hour. We found the cause. Every morning, Victor performed a ritual he was deeply proud of. 3 large oranges, 2 green apples, a banana, sometimes a pear or a cluster of grapes, all fed through a top-of-the-line juicer, producing a glass of concentrated juice nearly 14 fluid ounces in volume. He drank it on an empty stomach, every single morning, no exceptions, for a full year. Why was this destroying him? The biochemistry is simple, but almost no one explains it clearly. Your liver is a 2-phase detox factory. Every toxin that enters your body must go through both phases sequentially. Phase 1 is the strike force, a group of enzymes, specifically from the cytochrome P450 family, seize incoming toxins and begin breaking them apart through a process called oxidation. Here's the brutal paradox. The breakdown products of phase 1 are often 10 to 100 times more toxic than the original substance. They become aggressive free radicals that ricochet through cells, burning everything they contact. Phase 2 is the packaging crew. A completely different set of enzymes must immediately grab those volatile fragments and bind them to a safe, neutralizing compound, usually an amino acid, a sulfur molecule, or glucuronic acid. The package gets sealed and shipped out through bile into the intestines or through the kidneys into urine. The entire system only works if phase 1 and phase 2 are in balance. Fructose, the specific sugar in fruit, is processed exclusively by the liver. Glucose from bread or rice can be used by every cell in your body. Muscles, heart, brain, they all grab it. But fructose has only one destination, the liver. One whole apple? Fine. The fiber in the skin acts as a physical gate, releasing fructose in slow, small doses. One large glass of fresh juice, no fiber, no gate, that's a concentrated flood. Your liver receives the equivalent of 100 passengers all trying to push through one customs door simultaneously. It panics. It can't process the volume. It converts the excess fructose not into energy, but into visceral fat. Fat packed directly into liver cells. This process is called de novo lipogenesis, and fructose generates fat at a rate 10 times faster than starch. But fat accumulation was only half Victor's problem. The metabolic processing of fructose also rapidly depletes the liver's ATP, its cellular energy supply. Phase 1 keeps running, driven by incoming toxins, but phase 2 shuts down because it needs both energy and amino acids to function. Victor had also eliminated meat from his diet, convinced by a persistent internet myth that protein somehow rots in the intestine. Without dietary protein, his phase 2 packaging crew had no raw materials. The factory floor was buried in toxic fragments from phase 1, the packaging crew was idle, and the storage rooms were flooded with fructose-derived fat. He thought he was doing a cleanse. He had actually built a chemical landfill inside himself. And I want to be direct. You may never touch a glass of fruit juice, but your phase 2 can still be paralyzed by a deficiency of sulfur compounds, methyl groups, or basic amino acids. Your body gives you readable signals about this every day. Look at your fingernails right now. Do you see vertical ridges running from the cuticle to the tip, like tiny raised rails? Are the white half-moon shapes at the base of your nails absent on most fingers except the thumbs? Note that. Now, answer this honestly. How do you feel when you walk into a perfume store or past a freshly painted wall? If your answer is instant headache, nausea, irritability, desperate need for fresh air, that is a clinical warning sign. Your sensitivity to chemical smells is one of the most reliable indicators that your liver's detox system is at or near capacity. There's no room left. Your internal waste bin is overflowing. Let me give you 2 physical tests you can perform right now. Test 1. Find a measuring tape and wrap it around your waist at the level of your navel. No sucking in. For men, the red line is 94 centimeters, roughly 37 inches. For women, it's 80 centimeters, roughly 31 and a half inches. Above those numbers, you have visceral fat. Fat stored deep inside the abdominal cavity, not under the skin. Visceral fat drains directly into the liver via a large blood vessel called the portal vein. Your liver is bathing in a continuous stream of fatty acids 24 hours a day. The number on the scale means nothing. The circumference of your waist is everything. Test 2. Locate your navel. Move your fingers straight up the midline 3 to 4 finger widths. Then shift 2 centimeters to the right. You are now over the anatomical projection of the sphincter of Oddi, the muscular valve that controls bile's exit into the intestine. Exhale completely and press firmly. In a healthy person, you feel nothing. If you feel sharp pain, a sense of pressure, or mild nausea, your sphincter is in chronic spasm. That valve is locked shut. Bile pressure is building in the ducts. Liver cells are dying under the pressure of their own backed up bile. Step to the mirror and pull down your lower eyelid. If the whites of your eyes look cloudy, yellowish, or dingy gray, bilirubin, a pigment from processed red blood cells, is not being cleared. Your filtration system is blocked. Now let me talk about 3 hidden culprits that most overworked general practitioners in a 12-minute appointment slot won't ever bring up. Culprit 1 is sitting in your medicine cabinet right now. Acetaminophen, Tylenol, or any cold and flu powder containing it. You take it when you have a mild headache or a temperature of 99 degrees. What you are doing is burning down your liver's primary antioxidant defense, glutathione. Glutathione is the liver's bulletproof vest. A standard dose of acetaminophen can wipe out nearly all available cellular glutathione within hours. Acetaminophen overdose, including cumulative low-dose overuse, is the #1 cause of acute liver failure in American and European hospitals. A harmless white tablet from the dollar store is doing more damage than a weekend of drinking. Culprit 2 is the grout between your bathroom tiles. Look closely. Those black spots are Aspergillus mold, a fungus that produces mycotoxins, compounds that are directly toxic to liver tissue. Add the chlorine bleach you use to clean with, and the phthalate-based air fresheners you spray around the house. Your liver is filtering not just your food, but the chemical cocktail you breathe every single day. Culprit 3 is your stress response. The sphincter of Oddi is directly governed by your autonomic nervous system, the system that controls involuntary functions like heart rate and digestion. When you spend years in chronic stress mode, deadline after deadline, financial pressure, relentless news, your body locks into fight or flight. Digestion shuts down. Every muscular sphincter in your body contracts. Bile can't exit. It stagnates, thickens, crystallizes into sludge, and eventually into gallstones. Emotional suppression is a physiological event. Chronic stress physically spasms your bile ducts. Here's the good news. And I'm not saying this to balance out the bad news. I'm saying it because it's the most clinically significant fact about this organ. Your liver is the only organ in your body with genuine regenerative capacity. Given the right conditions, it can rebuild itself from a fraction of healthy remaining tissue. The window for reversal is wide, but it closes as you wait. So let's talk about what to actually do. There is one food, cheap, widely available, a couple of dollars at any grocery store, that is the single most powerful clinically validated activator of phase 2 detoxification. 90% of people either avoid it or cook it in a way that destroys its entire medicinal value in under a minute. That food is broccoli, specifically the cruciferous vegetable family. Here is the precise mechanism. Inside the cells of raw broccoli sits a compound called glucoraphanin. It's inert on its own. But when you chew raw broccoli, mechanically breaking open the cell walls, glucoraphanin contacts an enzyme called myrosinase. A molecular reaction occurs and produces sulforaphane. This is the most potent, clinically documented natural activator of phase 2 detoxification ever identified. Sulforaphane switches on the genetic pathways that produce glutathione, that bulletproof vest we talked about. And this protective effect lasts 72 hours from a single serving. No pharmaceutical drug delivers that combination of magnitude and duration. However, myrosinase is completely destroyed by heat. If you boil broccoli for 10 or 15 minutes in a pot of water, you kill the enzyme. The sulforaphane reaction cannot happen. You're eating green fiber. That's it. Here's the clinical protocol. Steam broccoli florets for exactly 3 to 4 minutes. They should still be bright green and slightly firm. Transfer to your plate while warm and immediately cover with a teaspoon of dry mustard powder. Dry mustard is extraordinarily rich in exogenous myrosinase. You're adding the enzyme back from an external source. The reaction occurs in the dish. If you want to maximize the effect, use 3 to 5 day old broccoli sprouts instead of mature heads. Studies have confirmed that young sprouts contain 50 to 100 times the sulforaphane concentration of adult broccoli. 1 tablespoon per day is sufficient. Combine this with natural bitters, dandelion root tea or artichoke extract, which gently and safely stimulate gallbladder contraction to keep bile moving. But none of this works if you're violating your liver's circadian biology at night. The liver's peak detox activity runs from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. During this window, the liver shifts from processing food into full systemic detoxification, a cellular deep clean mode. This switch only occurs if insulin and blood glucose are low. Eat a bowl of fruit, a plate of pasta, or a cookie with your evening tea at 9 p.m. Insulin spikes, the liver pivots to fat storage, and the deep clean is canceled. Your therapeutic dinner should be finished 3 to 4 hours before sleep. Easily digestible protein. Fish, eggs, poultry. Steamed vegetables, broccoli with mustard, a tablespoon of olive oil, no starchy carbohydrates. The meal digests quickly, insulin drops to baseline, and by 11 p.m., your liver has full clearance to begin its work. You'll know it's working when you wake without puffiness, without that sour taste in your mouth, and actually feel like you slept. Now, morning. Because 10 years ago, I was doing everything right at night and erasing all of it within the first 15 minutes of waking. 3 things I was doing wrong. 3 things most people do every single morning. Fatal mistake 1, cold water the moment you wake up. Cold water triggers a reflex contraction of the smooth muscle in your bile ducts. The sphincter of Oddi snaps shut. Backed up bile stays backed up. Fatal mistake 2, coffee on an empty stomach. Caffeine is a powerful stimulant for cortisol release. Cortisol spasms your bile ducts. Coffee also has a cholagogue effect. It forces the gallbladder to contract. You're simultaneously ordering the gallbladder to empty while the exit valve is locked shut. You are creating pressure damage in your own ducts every single morning. Fatal mistake 3, skipping fat at breakfast or skipping breakfast entirely to fast until noon. The gallbladder only releases bile in response to dietary fat entering the small intestine. No fat, no signal. Bile sits stagnant for 16 hours, thickens, and begins forming crystals and sludge that become tomorrow's gallstones. Here is the practical protocol. Morning, midday, evening. Morning, restart the engine. First, 1 to 2 large cups of warm water around 120 to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Warmth is the most effective natural smooth muscle relaxant. It opens the ducts gently without drugs. 30 minutes later, a fat-forward breakfast. Eggs, avocado, butter. This is the biological trigger for gallbladder contraction, and your gallbladder is now open and ready. Add high-quality sunflower lecithin to this meal. Lecithin acts as a natural detergent, emulsifying bile and keeping it fluid and free-flowing. Midday, maintenance and movement. Eat 2, maximum 3 times per day. Real meals, not grazing. Every 40 to 45 minutes, stand up from your desk and do 10 slow squats. This is not about fitness. It's about preventing mechanical venous stagnation in the pelvis, which directly impairs liver drainage. Lunch includes broccoli with mustard and a meaningful serving of animal protein. Evening, the repair window. Dinner at 7 p.m. Light protein, cooked vegetables, olive oil, no carbohydrates. Take magnesium before bed. Magnesium glycinate or magnesium citrate work best to relax all your smooth muscle sphincters overnight and support the deep clean window. There's one more thing. This protocol solves 10% of liver problems that don't respond to nutrition alone. I had a patient. I realized the answer when he sent me a photo of how he slept. He slept on his right side every night for years. Your liver weighs over 3 pounds. When you sleep on your right side, the full gravitational weight of that organ presses down on the inferior vena cava, the major vein returning blood from your lower body to your heart. It compresses it, blood flow slows. Venous stagnation sets in throughout the liver. Same problem when sleeping flat on your back. The solution is as simple as it is overlooked. Train yourself to fall asleep on your left side. The liver shifts left, the vena cava is decompressed, blood filtration runs at full capacity throughout the night. You absolutely need a pillow between your knees. This is not optional comfort, it is a physiological necessity for anyone over 40. The pillow aligns the pelvis, drops intra-abdominal pressure, and the liver can function without mechanical restriction. Here's what I want you to take out of this and actually use. 1. Your liver never hurts until it's nearly gone. Don't wait for pain as your warning signal. Read the skin signs I gave you. 2. Fructose from juice can damage your liver faster than a moderate alcohol habit because it bypasses all cellular defenses. 3. Acetaminophen is erasing your primary liver defense with every casual dose. 4. Steamed broccoli with dry mustard activates a 72-hour protective response no supplement can replicate. 5. Drink warm water first thing in the morning, eat fat at breakfast, finish dinner 3 to 4 hours before bed, and sleep on your left side with a pillow between your knees. Give your body 3 consistent weeks of this approach and you will feel the difference. Clearer skin, sharper thinking, energy that doesn't collapse by mid-afternoon. Now here is something I genuinely want to know from you because it has real clinical value. The risk profile for liver disease shifts significantly by age. After 40, visceral fat accumulates faster, insulin sensitivity decreases, and the liver's regenerative response slows down measurably. After 50, fatty liver progresses to fibrosis at nearly 3 times the rate seen in younger adults. So here's my question for the comments. How old are you? Write your age below. I want to see which age groups are most represented in this audience, because it directly shapes what I cover next, and it tells me who needs the most urgent information. Do the tests I described today. Look at your heels, check your fingernails, press that point 2 centimeters to the right of your midline. If you found 2 or more red flags in what I described, don't wait. Schedule a liver panel, ALT, AST, GGT, total bilirubin, and ideally a liver ultrasound. If your doctor waves it off as normal for your age, push back. Ask specifically about your waist circumference, your triglycerides, your fasting insulin. These are the numbers that actually tell you what's happening inside. Your liver works silently, every second, without ever asking for anything. It's the only organ that will keep doing its job at 15% capacity just to keep you alive. It's time you worked for it as hard as it's worked for you. Your doctor isn't going to walk you through any of this during a 12-minute appointment. The system is built around treating disease, not preventing it. There's no billing code for telling you to steam your broccoli and sleep on your left side. I'm Sam Waterling, and I've spent 15 years watching preventable damage happen to people who just weren't given the right information in time. Subscribe to Dr. Waterling, hit like, and help this channel reach 100,000 subscribers. Because the more people who find this, the fewer people end up in my office wondering why no one told them sooner.